Good day everyone, my name is J. Banawan. Today, my topic is all about the E-Gastpe Law, also known as the Expanded Government Assistance to Students and Teachers in Private Education Act. So let's learn and explore together. So Republic Act number 8545 or Amendment to the GASP Act, otherwise known as an act providing government assistance to students and teachers in private education and appropriating funds, therefore establishing a fund for the purpose of subsidizing salaries of private school teachers and appropriating funds, therefore. So here are the learning outcomes that we were going to learn. First, to understand the RE number 8545. Second, to distinguish of the section embedded in this act. Third, to know the purpose and importance. So, here are the sections of the law. So, first, Section 1, the short title. Second, the declaration of policy. Section 3, the criteria of assistance. Section 4, the form of assistance. In Section 5, we have the tuition fee supplements for students in private high schools. Section 6 is a high school textbook assistance fund. Section 7, the expansion of the existing ESC scheme. Section 8 is assistance to college freshmen. Section 9, the further assistance to students in private college and universities. Section 10, the education loan fund. Section 11, the limitation. Section 12, in service training fund or INSET fund. In Section 13, we have the college faculty development fund. Section 14, Teacher Salary Subsidy Fund. Section 15, the Program Administration Rules and Regulations. Section 16, the Appropriation. Section 17, the Penalties. Section 18, the Repelling Clause. Section 19, the Separability Clause. And Section 20, we have the Effective Clause. So according to Britannica.com, amendment in the government in the law is an addition or alteration made to a constitution's statute or legislative bill or resolution designed to improve a particular piece of legislation. So this program enables students to pursue secondary schooling in private schools through the provision of a fixed annual subsidy to cover tuition and other school fees. So been enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the Philippines in Congress assembled. Section 1, the short title. So Republic Act number 6728, otherwise known as the Government Assistance to Students and Teachers in Private Education Act, is hereby amended to read follows. So this act shall be known as the Expanded Government Assistance to Students and Teachers in Private Education Act. So, in Section 2, Declaration of Policy. So, this section sets out the policy of the government with respect to education. So, the law aims to provide financial assistance to students and teachers in private education institutions in order to promote equal access to quality education. It also seeks to encourage private sectors to achieve the goals of the law. So for these purposes, so the state shall provide the mechanisms to improve the quality in private education by maximizing the use of existing resources of private education. So recognizing in the process of the government responsibility to provide the basic education and secondary education as having priority over its other function. So here in elementary education, is the first 6 years of basic education, excluding the preschool and grade 7. So the completion of which is attested by certificate issued by or with permission of the Department of Education, Culture and Sports or DECS. In secondary education is the next 4 years of basic education, the completion of which is attested by high school diploma issued or by or with permission of Department of Education, Culture, and Sports. So in post-secondary education, may be education and training in non-degree vocational and technical courses offered in post-secondary vocational and technical institutions, or education in degree courses offered by in higher educational institutions, the completion of which are attested by a certificate or diploma issued or by or with permission of the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, or the Commission on Higher Education, CHED, respectively. So we are here now in section 3, the criteria for assistance. So the program for assistance shall be based on the set of the criteria, which shall include, among others, so tuition fee charged by the school, to the socio-economic needs of each region, giving the priority to the social reform agenda, or SRE provinces. So the Social Reform Agenda, or SRE, formally launched in September 1994, constitutes the government response to poverty. So social reform shall be continuing the process that address the basic inequities in Philippine society through the systematic package of social interventions. So preference shall be given to students whose family's income is not more than 72,000 pesos, or such amounts as may be determined by the respective councils as defined here and after. So the program of assistance under this act shall be extended only to students who are citizens of Philippines. So purposes of this act, program of assistance to students and teachers of private post-secondary vocational and technical institutions and higher educational institutions shall likewise be extended to students and teachers of community college in degree and non-degree programs. So, in section 4, we have the forms of assistance. So, assistance to private education shall consist of assistance to students to teachers. So, first, the form assistance to students, tuition fee, supplements for students in private high school, including vocational and technical courses. So, second, the high school textbook assistance fund. So the textbook assistance per students in private high school shall be determined by the council and shall not exceed what students in public high school are provided on a per student basis under a comprehensive textbook. So program in secondary education development, or SEDP, so provided textbook assistance shall be granted only to beneficiaries of tuition fee, supplements, and educational service provided of this act. So another is the expansion of the existing educational service contracting, or ESC scheme. For the voucher system and the private education student financial assistance program, or PESFP or PESFA. 5. The scholarships, the grants to students graduating as valedictorians and salutatorians from secondary schools. 6. The tuition fee supplements to the students in private college and universities. And 7. The educational loan fund. Next, we have here the section 5, the tuition fee supplements for students in private high school. So, financial assistance for tuition for students in private high school shall be provided by the government through a voucher system in the following manner. So, for students enrolled in schools charging an amount as may be determined by the State of Assistance Council, the government shall provide them with a voucher in such amount as may be determined by the council. So, provided that the government that reimburse the vouchers from the school concerned within 120 days from the close of registration period, so shall be provided by the government through a voucher system. So in section 6, we have here the high school textbook assistance fund. So there shall be established in Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, or DECS, or a high school textbook assistance fund, so that the assistance on per student basis shall be given to students enrolled in private schools exclusively for the purchase of high school textbooks in support of the implementation of secondary education development program, provided that the textbook assistance per student in private high school shall be determined by the council and shall not exceed what students in public high school are provided on a per student basis. So provided that the textbook assistance shall be granted only to beneficiaries of tuition fee supplements and educational service contracting scheme provided in this Act. So we are here now in Section 7, expansion of the existing educational service contracting or ESC scheme. So, in paragraph E, the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, or DICS, shall continue enter into contracts with private schools whereby the government shall shoulder the tuition and other fees of high school students who shall enroll with private schools whereby the government shall shoulder the tuition and other fees of high school students who shall enroll in private high school under this program. So in paragraph B, the department shall also enter into contracts with private schools in communities where there are no public high school, in which case the department shall shoulder the tuition and other fees of students who shall enroll said private schools. In paragraph C, the amount of assistance to be given by the government under this section shall not exceed that determined as the per student in cost in public high school. In paragraph D, the department shall fully pay the subsidized amount to participating schools not later than 180 days from the close of the registration period. In paragraph E, the amount of assistance shall be allocated and distributed among the 16 regions in proportion of the total population as well as the high school age population for the first school year provided. So that starting school year in 1998, an equalization of scheme shall be implemented by the State of Assistance Council. In paragraph F, the amount of assistance of private schools participating in the program shall be guaranteed of a number of slots of effectivity of this act as a number of students availing of educational service contracting assistance for school year in 1997 and 1998. Provided that the State Assistant Council may be in subsequent years determine the additional slots or additional participating private high schools as may be deemed necessary. So we have here in Section 8, the assistance to college freshmen. So, for purposes of this Act, underprivileged student shall refers to a student whose gross income, if any and that of the combined annual gross income of his or her parents do not exceed 7,000 pesos. So, here in the paragraph A, the voucher system of private education student financial assistance or FISPA program. B. The tuition waiver. C. The allowance for valedictorians. D. Allowance for honorances. First, the voucher system of private education student financial assistance or PISPA program. The existing private education student financial assistance or PISPA program, which covers degree and non-degree vocational technical courses, shall be expanded so that all qualified enrolling first-year students can benefit from a scholarship plus an allowance. Next is tuition waiver. Private post-secondary vocational and technical institutions and higher educational institutions shall provide for full or half tuition waivers for 5% of the entering freshmen. We shall include among others valedictorians and salutatorians, both public high school and private high schools, provided that those valedictorians and salutatorians meet admissions test of school concern. So next, the allowance for valedictorians. So subject to rules and regulations as may be promulgated by the State Assistant Council. So valedictorians refer to under subparagraph. So tuition waiver may be in addition to tuition waivers granted by the school. So concern be entitled to such allowance from the government as are provided to PESPA. Grantees provided they shall enroll in priority courses. Next is allowance for other honors. So in case the graduating class is composed of more than 250 students, all salutatorians and first honorable mention graduates, therefore may also be entitled to the allowance granted to valedictorians under the preceding paragraph. Next, we have here the Section 9, the further assistance to students in private college and universities. So, tuition fee supplement for student of private post-secondary enrolled in priority course program determined by the TESDA and the CHED shall be provided by the government through a voucher system in the following manner. So first, for student in priority programs in school, charging an effective per unit tuition rate of such amount as may be determined by the State Assistant Council. So the government shall be provide the student with a voucher for the amount of tuition fee to supplement determined by the State Assistant Council. Next is a government assistance and tuition increases as described in this section shall be governed by the same condition as the provided under Section 5 and 2. Next, we have Section 10, Education Loan Fund. So, study now, pay later plan. So, there is hereby created a special fund to be known as the Student Loan Fund to be administered by the CHED and the TESTA, or the upon delegation by the CHED by the Student Loan Fund Authority created under Republic Act Number 6014, which is hereby reinstituted pursuant to the terms of the same Republic Act, which shall be used to finance educational loans to cover the matriculation and other school fees. So, an educational expenses for book, subsistence, and board and lodging. So, the amount covering payments for tuition and other school fees shall be paid directly to the school concerned. So, in payment will be in only after a period of 2 years from the time the student debtor has acquired an employment, and the interest rate not more than 6% per annum. So in Social Security Fund, so the Social Security system shall make available low interest educational loan to its member and to private educational institutions for school buildings and improvement of their plans and facilities. So we have here now in section 11, limitation. So the right of any student to avail himself or herself of the benefits under this act shall be not apply if she or he fails for one school year in the majority of the academic subject, so in which he or she has enrolled during the course of his or her study, unless such a failure is due to some valid cause beyond his or her control. Next, we have here the section 12, in-service training fund or INSET fund. So, for the purpose of this improving the quality of teaching in the private secondary education, so there is hereby established in the Department of Education, Culture, and Sport an INSET fund to provide for the upgrading of knowledge and teaching of competencies in critical subject areas and for the modernization of teaching techniques and strategies. So, including training in the use of computers and of other multimedia educational technologies to assist instruction. So, next, the INSET fund shall be available only to the qualified licensed teachers in participating private high school as determined by the State Assistant Council. Next is the fund shall not exist that available to public secondary education on a per capita basis. Section 13, so College Faculty Development Fund. So for the purpose of improving the quality of teaching in private post-secondary vocational and technical institutions and higher educational institution is hereby established in the TESDA and the CHED College Faculty Development Fund to provide for scholarships for graduate degree and non-degree workshops or seminars for faculty members in private post-secondary vocational and technical institutions and higher educational institutions provided. So next, that faculty member recipients or such scholarships shall serve as many number of years return service for every scholarship availed of as may be determined by the State Assistant Council in the conformity with prevailing National Economic Development Authority or NEDA policies on return service of government scholars. So the scholarship shall be priority courses as determined by the TISTA and the CHED and cannot be awarded to promote or inhibit the sectarian purposes. So we have here now the section 14, the teacher's salary fund or subsidy fund. So a teacher's salary subsidy fund is hereby established in the desk to grant government subsidy to teachers in private high school participating in the programs of assistance provided in this act. So subsidy to be received by such private high school teachers shall not be more than 80% on the monthly salary of the counterpart in the public sector. So the amount of the monthly subsidy shall not exceed the amount of any monthly salary increase that teacher in public high school shall, after the effectivity of this act hereinafter receive. So that private high school teachers qualified to receive subsidy under this act are legalized by Professional Regulation Commission or PRC. So the government shall provide a voucher for salary subsidy which shall be reimbursed directly to the teachers within 60 days after the close of the school year upon the submission of proof of qualification and actual teaching service in participating private high school. So next we have the section 5, the program administration rules and regulations. In section 15, so the state assistant council shall be responsible for policies, guidance, and directions, monitoring and evaluation of new and existing programs, and the promulgation of the rules and regulations. So the DICS, TESDA, and CHED shall be responsible for the day-to-day administration and program implementation for the programs of assistance to private secondary education, post-secondary vocational and technical education, and higher education respectively. So the State Assistant Council, hereinafter known as the Council, shall be headed by the Secretary of Education, Culture and Sports as chairperson and TESDA as co-chairperson. So, representative dorm duly organized nationwide associations of teachers, students, parents, and school administrators concerned with the secondary, post-secondary, vocational, any technical education, and higher education as member. So, the last 3 members shall be appointed by the council upon the reappointment for a maximum term of 4 school years are representatives each from committees on education of both houses of Congress shall be designated resource person to the council. So the council shall meet from the time to time as need arises to assess the effectivity of the programs and to ensure that the secondary school, post-secondary school, and vocational and technical institutions and higher educational institutions where the students or recipients are enrolled to continue to provide quality for this purpose. So next we have here the section 16, appropriations. So the amount needed to implement this program shall be provided for the annual General Appropriations Act appropriated under the General Appropriation Act of 1998 shall be used for this purpose. So all funds appropriated for this purpose shall be constituted as the trust fund to be administered by the State Assistance Council, which shall be directly and automatically released to the different regional office of the DICS. Next, section 17, the penalties. Okay, in case of violation of the provision of this act or the rules and regulation promulgated pursuant to by an institution, the DICS, the TESDA, and the CHED, upon the recommendation of the Council, may bar the institution from the participating in or benefiting from the program of this act and from other programs the department without prejudice to administrative and criminal charge, as may be filed against the school and or its responsible officers under the existing laws. So we have heard the Section 18, the repealing clause. So all laws and decrees, particularly Presidential Decree number 932 and 1371, and such letters of instruction, rules, and regulations, or parts thereof, which are inconsistent with this Act, are hereby repealed or modified accordingly. So Presidential Decree number 932 in May 13, 1976, further democratizing educational opportunities, promoting the Study Now, Pay Later plan, and specifying various schemes for its implementation. And Presidential Decree number 1371, amending certain section of Presidential Decree number 932, otherwise known as the Educational Assistance Act of 1976. Here in Section 19, the Separability Clause, if any provision of this Act is declared unconstitutional, the same shall not affect the validity and effectivity of other provisions not effective thereby. Here in Section 20, Effectivity Clause. So this act shall take effect immediately upon its publication in English, so in an English newspaper, and in Filipino, in a Filipino newspaper, both of general circulation, provided that the implementation of news program of assistance provided in this act shall be effective in the school of the succeeding fiscal year within which the appropriation necessary to implement the new program shall have been approved into law. So this act, it approves on February 24, 1998. So all data is taken from this reference. So according to Malala Yousafzai, so let us remember, one book, one pen, one child, and one teacher can change the world. Again, this is all about the E-Gastpe Law, the expanded government assistance to students and teachers in Private Education Act. So thank you so much for listening and watching, and have a nice day ahead. God bless.